Yo, 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 good day. Buenos dias. Bienvenido a nuestro podcast aquí en Boise, Idaho. Sí, lo que comenzaste.
Yeah, and for those of you in Oklahoma, how y'all doing?
Yo, good morning. So we are live from Boise, Idaho in our still makeshift studio. Someday Rod and I are going to be able to get it finalized. We're down to two things.
I don't even think you can call it a studio when it's a folding table and some tablecloths draped over the top of a box.
That's hey, but it's
We're in a
better than our
closet.
very first one.
It's a studio if you call it a studio.
Coming to you live from a closet in Boise, Idaho.
That's awesome.
So we already got somebody chatting with us.
I know.
So
Good.
we are with Tommy, and we met you in person, like at MTE, and you like match our energy. You could hang with us because you're like a hyped up guy.
Yeah, I feel the same way actually.
Well, it's like, I mean, you're literally in a rock studio doing the podcast, and it's kind of fun because, you know, for 10 years, I was in a radio studio. And so that backdrop brings back so many memories, man.
Yeah, I actually got one of these pieces. It's the Alice's 3630. It's a compressor limiter. I got that from a radio studio in Tampa. A customer gave it to me as a tip. So
that's awesome. Well, that's super cool. So let us introduce you to Tommy Trenton. He is the owner of Nit Pickin Mobile Detailing. And like Rod said, we had the opportunity to sit down with you at Mobile Tech Expo and get to know your beautiful wife. And so let's dig in. How did you get into detailing?
Well, let's see. So years ago, I think Julie, 2007, we started Tom's Mobile Detailing.
It's all blur.
yeah, right, dude. So much has happened in between then. So yeah, well, anyway, so I started Tom's Mobile Detailing when I was a young adult, like 23, I want to say, and that was just a jump in a direction that I was like, I was always like cleaning cars, and I only did that for like a year, and I ended up I had a crotch rocket addiction, and I got in trouble with that. I actually got put on house arrest. I got felony fleeing into a lewd, and so I sold all that because my PO's like, you know what? You got to give every customer my business card. Tell them you're on felony probation or house arrest, actually, and then have them call me every time you show up to a job. They have to call me right away. So I was like, dude, you're full of shit. I'm not doing that. So I quit. I sold all my stuff, and I was jobless and sitting on house arrest. Like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. My PO's like, I don't know what you're going to do either, but you got to either get a job or go to school. So I was like, well, fuck a job. I'm not doing that. So I just went to school. and I did that for like 7 months. And then I was like, well, fuck school too. So I went for business, right? I learned they're trying to teach me international stuff. And I'm like, you know, that really doesn't pertain to me. I'm not trying to be worldwide with anything. And who knows where that's going to go later, though. I bite myself in the ass whenever I say stuff like that. So I did that for 7 months, and then I ended up, I can't remember which jobs I had, man, but it was always when I got a job, fuck this job. You know, the longest I ever had a job was 7 months. So at this point, I'm not detailing no more. I gave all that stuff away pretty much. I sold my whole trailer for like $800 to some person. I don't know what they were going to do with it. I don't know if they bought the trailer to sell and make money or actually use it. I have no idea. And so I got deeper into the music stuff, and I was doing like music videos and graphic design and photography and like producing music and stuff like that. And I did that for a long time. And then I got a job doing audio visual with my buddy Netza Rodriguez with a company called Vanguard Audio Visual. And that also changed my life. That took me to whole nother perspective of life because it surrounded me by like already successful people. It was corporate, you know. So we're miking up like the leading Florida judges, like all the judges in Florida are in one room, and then they're coming up to talk, and I'm having to mic them up, and it was really awkward knowing that I'm like a convicted felon. Just did too like lawyers and judges, and like I might have seen one of them in the courtroom. I don't know. And so so I did that for 2.5 or about 2 years, and that was a like a subcontracting thing. So I was kind of self-employed. I could do whatever I wanted. I could work or not work. It didn't matter. But it was a lot of traveling, and it just gave me more experience away from the underground music scene, which I felt like was probably going to kill me one day. And and then I'm in a hotel one day, or I'm at God, Charleston. I think I was in Charleston, South Carolina.
I think you kicked your mic cord. All of a sudden, we lost your mic.
No, are you serious?
There
There,
we
now
go.
it's
Now,
back.
now you're
Now it's
back.
back, but it was gone there for a second. So
I got to buy a new interface. It's only $1,000. This thing's only like 5 years old. I'm sick of this shit. Every time you get
yeah,
something,
there you go.
every time
So
you get
So
something
anyway,
new,
you were in South.
something else goes out. But
so
anyways, I was in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, at a hotel that smelled like fried chicken. Okay, and I'm not. It's no pun intended. It literally there was no chicken anywhere, and they were having some kind of like parade or something like that. And I had worked about 19 hours straight, 8 hours there. I worked until like 4 in the morning, got 3 hours of sleep, woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I said nitpicking. Because at this time I'm like searching for something else to do. Like I can't keep traveling like this. It was fun at first. It got old. I'm away for like weeks at a time, sometimes a month at a time. And I woke up and I sat straight up and I'm like nitpicking. I must have been dreaming about it or something. And I was like, start a business called Nit Pickin Mobile Detailing. Okay. So I told a few people, they're like, oh, Tommy and his ideas, another idea. What is he going to do it? Can he even do it? I'm like, okay, whatever. So now I'm at Bonita Springs in South Florida on the West Coast. And this is a beautiful resort. I ended up getting the flu. I mean, I had like 103.7 temperature. The boss is like, I'm like, dude, I got to go lay down, man. And I mean, I probably shouldn't even be around people. I'm going to get people sick. Like I'm sweating. I got a fever. I'm shaking. I'm achy. And dude, I'm a bull, dude. I'll work through anything. I worked all the way through COVID. I had COVID for a month, and I still worked. It didn't matter. Um, but anyways, I got sick, and he's like, no, you can't go back to the room. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go harder than everybody. So I literally outworked everybody. I was running around like a madman, and I think he motivated me by making me feel like I was a little bitch by saying, you can't go to your room because you don't feel good. So I'm like, okay, fine, let me show him up. And so at the end of that night, I went to sleep and I woke up in the middle of the night again, like in the middle of my sleep, and I was like, we don't cut corners, we nitpick them. And I'm like, nitpicking, we don't cut corners, we nitpick them. And that was it. I mean, that was it. Literally, within 2 months, I had a business plan strong enough to start a business. I had everything in line. In 2 months, I'd made a website, did a product list so that I knew what everything costs, bought everything, trailer included with the wrap, and everything's brand new. I spent every dollar I had, man. It was like $12,000, and yeah, and that was it. 2 months, and I'm on the road. March 13th, 2018, and I haven't worked for anybody since, as far as like being an employee. Um, and yeah, it's been one hell of a freaking roller coaster, dude.
yeah, exactly.
I was
You know,
already
it,
I was already used to being broke. So the first year, I was like, "This is nothing, man. I'll work whatever. It doesn't even matter." So I mean, I didn't even have a vehicle. I didn't even own a freaking vehicle. Like I didn't own for the first year and a half. I had to borrow two different people's vehicles, both of which broke completely to the point where we're like not putting money into it. It's just we didn't wreck it, but it was just a clunker and not worth putting any kind of effort in fixing it again. We fixed both twice, I think. One of them had to get motor mounts, but anyways, that's a whole nother avenue that I don't need to take. But yeah, for the first year and a half, I didn't even have a vehicle, and until we bought our first brand new vehicle, brand new truck to pull a trailer around in. We're pulling this nice, beautiful trailer around two ugly ass cars in these very fancy neighborhoods, man, where the kids are driving like badass Chevy Camaro at 6.2 liter SS with racing chips and exhaust systems and carbon fiber parts, and I'm pulling up in this Chrysler Pacifica that's peeling like a lizard out in the sun. They're like, "You look like you're really good at paint correction." I said, "Hell yeah!" And they're pointing at the car. I'm like, "Oh god, this is not." This is embarrassing. And dude, the thing of it is, I wasn't even shamed at all, man. I was proud to take the risk and go out there, and I was
Yeah,
thankful to have a vehicle to pull my trailer when I didn't even own my own. You know,
yeah.
it
No,
wasn't
I think
after
that's
I got the truck when I look back and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I had balls pulling that
Dude,
trailer.
that is so deep, right? Because you kind of you kind of have this journey, and I think a lot of detail business owners are kind of meandering through life. They're trying to figure it out. They like this, they don't like that, they screw you,
Yeah,
just kind of like, man, where am I going?
yep,
And but once you finally got your vision, you're like, I have a plan, I have a vision. I'm proud of where I'm going. Yeah, you can laugh in my car, and
yeah.
and that's tough, right?
They
Because
did too. Jokes were made. I mean,
you're
but it was a lot of
supposed
fun.
to.
They weren't insulting. They were just, they would make jokes.
yeah, but I think that is a entrepreneurs in general. You look at it and you have no guarantee that tomorrow there's going to be money. You
Yep.
have no guarantee that your idea is going to work. When we left a company that we worked for, and the last time we've worked for anybody but ourselves was 2009. And we started this in September 2009 when the housing industry was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And we like you, we took a big risk to do this. Jody and I didn't get paid.
For nine
So
months.
our wives were like, okay, well, this is all fun and great, but sometimes we want to eat. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's
Dude, ramen noodle diet.
yeah, it takes a strong entire like family behind you as well to be
Yes.
able to see that you have this vision of something that you think is going to work. And again, there'll be, oh, here's Tommy and his ideas. That was my wife. She's like, okay, we're gonna do this for a while, but if this doesn't start working out, you're gonna have to do something different. So
Yeah.
um
My wife didn't say that, but my friends did, and my family's looking at me like Tommy's not going to amount to shit, because he's done so many things and he's never been able to like grab onto something and keep it going, type of thing.
yeah,
I jumped
So
around so much; they just didn't have faith in me starting a bit and actually being able to start a legit business and take it as far as I have. Now they're all like giving me hugs and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you." I had to prove it to 'em, because I hadn't never proved it to them before. You know what I mean?
right,
So I understand them. It's fine. I don't care. I'm proud. It
yeah,
makes me feel better.
so let's talk about that growth, right? Because I think a lot of times, especially as new business owners, we have this vision of, what, we're going to knock on the door and it comes and the money falls, right? But the reality is, the first 1, 2, 3, even 5, 7 years can really test your grit, right?
Yeah,
Of pushing
mental strength.
through.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, pushing through. So how did you, I mean, it sounded like you're like, well, screw you guys. You know what? I got this vision. I can make it happen. But how did you get through the mental and the financial challenges when you were just starting to build?
So okay, so I was already used to being like broke and poor. I didn't even have a vehicle. Obviously, I was broke, and so with going into starting a business, I was just happy to have a trailer full of things that I can use to make money, and the
Yeah,
ability to be able to build my own website, and to even know to build my own website and do all the marketing and the Google My Business page. And like I learned all that before. That's what I was doing. Like I wasn't broke because I wasn't doing anything. I was doing things for other people that were broke too and couldn't pay me, basically. And
yeah,
but anyway, so I learned all these skills, and that's what motivated me. Like, look what I did in 2 months. And I knew the money would come. I knew I've researched starting businesses a lot, and I've listened to a lot of people's stories and stuff like that. And I just knew that the first year is going to be rough. I knew the second year is going to be rough, you know. And
Yep.
we actually, dude, I mean, for the area that we live in, we did pretty good. And I've researched other, detailers out here, and I try to like pay attention to everybody, and you know, online, and I might even hit a few of them up. Um, but to get through the mental stuff, man, there was a ton of challenges. Yeah, being okay. So me and Julie worked together every day. Every day, we have worked together every day for 7 years. We come home together every day. We go to bed together every day. We go out to eat. We're together. We go travel somewhere. We're together. We're together 24/7. And I think that pushed us into a new chapter in our life. That's what I mean by like it turned me into a better man type of thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. Like I was definitely hard to deal with. You know,
Yeah.
Julie's
But
behind with headphones on behind the camera laughing.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd like to
Yeah,
get her
exactly. Let's get her
perspective. I
perspective
want
on
her
that.
perspective
So
on those 7 years.
I
Look,
think
I'm not gonna put myself under the bus and make her have to
yeah,
make me look bad. I'm gonna be honest straight up, dude. I was tough.
yeah,
I've been hardened by life before starting nitpicking. So the going through nitpicking, it lightened my heart up a little bit. It gave me the
Mm.
opportunity to give to people more where I never could. People were always giving to me. And it just, it actually made my marriage better. It made me a better father with my kids. Like I'm more patient. I have a way better relationship with my wife than we ever did in our 20 years being together. And it's just it's the detailing industry. It's meeting you guys. It's meeting
yeah.
everybody else that I've met throughout the years. And Dustin's the first person that I met. No, I'm sorry, Don and Barbara. Rest in peace, Barbara. She passed away recently. They have over 55 years experience in the industry.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
but anyways, it's just meeting people like that. The and knowing, and I learned that I didn't even realize there was an industry. I was just starting a detailing business because that's something that I was sort of familiar with, and I was sort of familiar with starting a business. So I'm like, let me do detailing because that's something I already kind of did. Um, Sort of. I wouldn't say did. I didn't know shit back then. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
That
I had
right there,
no
that's the
idea, man.
number one thing that everybody that starts a detailing company absolutely should embrace because I don't care who you are. If you go back to the first time you did something on a car, you're like, I didn't know shit. I screwed that thing up so bad. But I think the point with that is like when you take a step back, right? And this isn't about bragging, it's not about patting yourself on
No,
the back
no,
too badly, but most businesses don't survive the first year. And that's
exactly.
because they don't expect that it's going to be rough.
Mm.
And then of those 50% that survive the first year, half of those fail in the first 5 years. So if
Yeah.
you get past that 5 year mark, and then when we did that, and then we passed the 10 year mark, and then this is our 15th year in business,
Hell yeah.
and we're like, well, okay, this might work. This might all work out, right?
Yeah.
So but I think that's the key to it is being open to the fact that business never how you speak to your audience determines how they respond. That's yes. And I think that's true. Richard, that comes from somebody that's, he's been in the leather repair industry for over 30 years and has been doing this. So making your own way and having your destiny in your own hands, if you will,
Feels
to me,
good.
it's actually freeing because
Yes.
when I
Oh,
worked for other people, you never knew when the hammer was going to fall, right? Jody and I worked for a company where they went in and laid off half the workforce in one afternoon. And
yeah.
then
Yeah.
literally came to me and said, "You will always have a job." And 2 months later, I was furloughed. So you never know what's going to happen. And by doing it yourself, it is really freeing because you're like, okay, well, at the end of the day, no matter what, I can go make this happen, right? And I
Yes.
think
Yep.
for
It's in
me,
your hands.
this is
You
this
have
is something that, yeah, I feel like this is you as well. Maybe it's not. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm Michael, what's his name from Back to the Future. If you tell me I can't do it, that is like,
oh,
oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, you go ahead, tell me I can't do it, and then sit back and
Please
watch
tell
because
me. Yeah, I need people to say you're fucking stupid. You're not gonna. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I
go
mean.
ahead.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
That's I love it. People online will come in and say something like, "Oh, you guys are idiots." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, here we are.
Negative motivation.
Exactly. Well, that's how
Oh,
people
I
are. Some
resonate with
people.
that big time.
Yeah.
Shit. Hell yeah. That's exactly me.
So,
So
so what have you learned along the way? I mean, you've had this 7-year journey. I'm sure your wife's learned a lot, but let's focus on you. What have you learned that you think would be helpful to other people?
Once you think you know it all, that's right around the corner is going to be you don't know shit situation that happens.
yeah,
And it's humbling. And yeah, don't ever feel like you know more than the next person, and you can never feel like you're better than the next person. You can't look at your competition and be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm killing them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's better to be humble and be helpful to the people that aren't where you're at.
yeah,
That's the way I feel, and I've always felt that way. That's what I like about the IDA, to be honest. Um, there's so much support there. So I've learned that there's other people like that. Remember earlier I said I didn't even realize there was an industry. I felt like I was freaking alone out here, dude. Because
yeah,
I try to talk to other detailers and they're like, fuck this guy, you know? And I'm like, damn, it's cold, like that's not me at all. Like I just want to reach out and get everybody together and go to Ford's garage or something and just talk about different ideas, and who knows what that'll, make in the future. But they're just not like that. So when I got involved with mobile tech and I met Dustin and everybody else that he's surrounded by, I realized, holy shit, there's a whole industry behind this. Like this is not just washing cars and detailing. Like there's chemicals, there's
yeah,
software, there's graphic design, there's web development, there's everything that an industry needs is right there. It's crazy.
yeah.
And
There you go, Richard.
so
That's all the gear and no idea. That's a saying that reminds me of a lot of people that start a business, and I think that's the key. Is a lot of people think I have to have all this stuff, right? I gotta have all the gear, and then they'll come. And like it's funny because this studio we're in now, or this plastic table that's set up temporarily, reminds me of when Jody and I first started the podcast. We didn't know anything about podcasts. We set an iPhone on a table and
uh,
went live to Facebook.
It was
And it was
literally like
it
this.
was taped. We had
It was
tape.
taped to the thing, and Rod and I were sitting
And
like this.
it started sliding down, and we literally
And
were
we were
lowering
lo-
our chairs as we were doing the podcast so we'd stay on the camera. I mean, we
dude,
had
that's
no
just like
clue.
me in the studio. I used to put a sock on my microphone as a pop filter. That was,
Yeah,
I was like
exactly.
16 or 17 years old doing that.
Yeah, no,
So I think as you go through those experiences and you can laugh them off, that is, I think, one of the greatest things about this. And I think sometimes, for me anyway, being somebody that's in their 50s, I've got 3 grown adult children. My middle daughter's today's her birthday. Everybody shout out to
hey,
Rachel.
happy birthday,
Hey,
Rach.
Rachel.
Hey.
So being in my 50s and having that, I look back on it and I was so freaking uptight that it was getting in my way. You try to do everything so perfect, and that's what causes a problem. When you take everything with a grain of salt
Yeah.
and you kind of step back and get out of your own way and get out of your own head, that's when actually stuff starts working. That's what happened with the podcast. When we
Yeah.
stopped worrying
Just
about, are we going to be
people to
are,
relate
are we
with.
going to be professional studio people? We stopped
Yeah,
worrying about that, and then actually this podcast started doing well. So
dude. Yeah, exactly, man. You know how many podcasts started out like that, and they had no idea. They just thought, we're just going to do what we can do. That's something you can tell people too in detailing. Like, it's easy. Um, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles. You don't have to have, dude. I got a buddy. He lives in Georgia. He literally works out of his car. Okay. He's only 18 years old. He's fresh out of high school. And I told him, I said, don't feel bad about that, dude. If you're detailing and you're only 18 and you're fresh out of high school and you're actually getting jobs and you've already built your own website and you're motivated, that's all it takes, dude. Just give it time and you'll get there. That's
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
you don't need to
and
be
I love
some detailers are like, oh, I got a 4,500 psi pressure washer, and here I am with this little friggin' got Ryobi or something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, I do the same thing with my Ryobi as you do with your big bad freaking $4,000 or 4,500 psi, which is way overkill for detailing. I didn't tell him that, but Yeah, and
They'll
then
figure it out when they
you'll get
remove
that
the paint.
eventually you'll get that Crinzler pressure washer that you're drooling over. That's like $1,300 and it's perfect and it's going to last a lifetime. You start out with what you can. Don't worry about anything else. Manage your money good so that you can actually upgrade
Mm.
and build your business up from there.
Right. Right. Invest in your business and in yourself. And
Yeah,
what I see as a mistake, people always say, what's the biggest mistake in business? Is somebody goes out and gets a good job, a really good one, right? They make $3,500, $4,000 on a correction and a ceramic coating. And they turn around and they go and blow that money on a pair of shoes or some speakers for their car or whatever, instead of investing back in the business.
yeah,
Yeah, and I like this underlying theme of being grateful for what you have, right? You said that at the very beginning. I was just glad that I was in business. I was glad that I had the tools to work. I was
yeah,
glad that I had the motivation and the passion to make it happen. And I
yeah,
think a lot of times we get so we don't have the blinders on our lane. We're looking at what everybody else
Yeah.
is doing and we compare and despair
don't
and it
ever compare
holds us
yourself to
back.
other people. Compare yourself to yourself from yesterday or from a year ago or from 5 years ago. That's where you get to scale yourself. How could I ever compare myself to somebody who's 10 years ahead of me? It doesn't make
Right, right. And
sense.
you always have to just be better than you were yesterday.
Period.
And I think that's the key is a lot of people are afraid. They're like, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to screw up. Right. Well, you are. So just here's the deal. Every time you think you're good enough, you're not. You're going to screw up. If you're going to make a mistake, make a fabulous mistake and
Yeah,
learn from it.
yeah.
I actually, in my shop, I actually have a thing I call the wall of shame. And I have parts and pictures of shit that I've broken, like a brand new transmission, and I broke the case and had to rebuild it again. I have it hanging on the wall to remind me that was a fabulous mistake. Don't ever do that again. Right? Yes.
That hurt, man. That's not hurt. Oh God.
Yeah, you do. I got pictures of I drove a car until the connecting rod was literally coming out of the block, and it's
Oh,
like, okay,
oh.
maybe you should pull over. Maybe you should pull over. So
Yeah, you should have
Just
started with the gas
maybe.
station to get a soda, man. You should have just took the truck.
Yeah.
yep,
It's so crazy because
good.
I love that Tate and Trout. Comparison is a thief of joy. I think a lot of times we as people, as business owners, as men, as women too, we look at other people and we compare
Too
our
often.
chapter 3 to
Right,
their
right.
chapter 23, right?
Yeah.
And I think so often we get caught up in the goal that we miss the joy and the development that comes in the journey.
Of ourselves.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly,
I mean, that's why it's
exactly.
important to tell your story too, because other people hear it and they're like, "Oh shit, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that's been through that." You know.
Yeah,
But I'm comparing myself to somebody else 10 years that are 10 years ahead and more developed to my 1 year or 2 years or whatever.
yeah.
But did you hear their story? How they started, when they were 2 years old, like you are now? Did you ever listen to their story? Did you ever go,
Yeah,
talk to them and ask them, the same questions like you guys are asking me now? So how can you
yeah,
even compare? Like it might be they had $50,000 to start. You can't compare to that. You know what I'm saying? I can't
yeah,
compare. So it's like, why even compare? You don't even know. So what's the difference? Just
yeah.
Well,
compare
And I
yourself
think that
today to yesterday.
if you look back at some of the memories when you struggled, those were actually good times because they helped motivate you. One of the
Oh,
one of the ones that sticks with
big.
me
That's a
is a
big.
story. Yeah, a story of Jay Leno. When he first started in his career, he actually lived and slept in a 1956 Buick
I could see him sleeping in a car.
because he literally didn't have a house.
He's like an
Yeah,
orphan.
yeah, and I think that that's the thing is a lot of us started out like that. One of the greatest memories I have was when our first daughter was born. I was working part time. I didn't make jack shit for money, and I
Yeah.
was able to spend an entire summer with my daughter at home playing around with her, and that was great because.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the money. I don't remember how much money I made. I just know that we didn't have any money. It was ramen noodle time.
Yep.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
and this is a really good point with the detailing summits that Richard puts on. One of the biggest takeaways is what we get is thought I was alone in my journey. Now all of you are in the same with me struggling. And I get it because you meet people that are there, right? Some of the people that are on this, podcast that have made comments, Tate and Trout, Mike from Mike's Marine Care, Sarah Riles, Richard Hutchings, watching and listening to these people's stories and relating to them are it's one of those things where a lot of people come from very adverse backgrounds. You're talking about you getting arrested and having a felony. There's a lot of people that have come from drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
Everybody's like that. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got stuff they've done, and it's getting through that and coming out the other side,
Yeah.
and then being proud of where you are today, and not in a cocky way, but being proud of where you are today.
Yeah, and a healthy sense of pride, not a cocky sense of pride. Pride's such a weird word because people use it wrong. Like they describe it wrong. Like when they see me, so people used to call me cocky. I guess I displayed my pride a little. Maybe I was cocky. I don't even remember it so long ago. I don't even remember how I used to. I don't know, but yeah, pride is a good thing. You take pride in your work, like
Mm-hmm.
not your
Yeah.
possessions, basically. Like, oh, I got a scat pack, and all you got's a GT. What the fuck is a GT? Like
Yeah.
that's not good. That's not good pride. That's
Right. Well,
being
that's yeah.
comfortable with
That's
like I am proud of it. I'm proud to even know people that's also been through the struggle. I get to relate with somebody. Holy shit! Like for many years, I
yeah.
thought I was like literally alone, like I was the only one on earth feeling the way I felt. Like I'm this man that doesn't have any money and I don't even have a car and I just feel like shit. And I didn't let that stop me either. Like I still did what I did and started nitpicking while feeling like that and went
Mhm.
through all the processes. Like I've always been told trust the process. And yeah, it's that simple.
Well,
Take credit what you
one of the things that Jody and I get the opportunity to do is we get to go outside of the country and visit some stuff. And Jody actually
visit
was in a
stuff.
very a country where it was really kind of a slap in the face as far as what we consider successful here in the Western world, right? So
Yeah.
you went down to tell the story about the shop with the guy, and
Oh, El Salvador,
yeah, he was
dude.
in El Salvador.
Dude, that was one of the most impactful trainings that I ever participated in. Rigo Santana invited me to go down to a detailing training event, and we went to an awesome shop, really nice shop in the heart of El Salvador, and had an awesome training. And then at the end of the training, we had about a half a day left, and this one guy goes, I'd really love to show you my shop. And so we're like, okay, sure. So we all loaded up, Rigo, me, a bunch of the Steves, Steve Thompson and the Detail Kid went.
Nice.
And we go and we're kind of driving through some pretty rough looking areas of El Salvador. And so we pull up to this little shop, and you walk in, and the shop was big enough where you could take a car and park it at a diagonal. And on the right hand side, they had a little fridge that had water and soda for their customers.
Yeah.
And then a staircase that went up to a little loft where the entire family of four slept every night. There were two hammocks and a full size mattress up there. And then on the back side of the garage, there was a little half wall, and behind the half wall was their little kitchen table and their refrigerator.
Wow.
And
That's
he
humbling.
was he was
Yeah,
so proud
yeah.
of being able to invite us in to show us the shop that he and his family had built together. And they literally were doing full details for $5 a car.
$5.
$5 a car. And to
Man.
top it off, he even um, bought dinner for all of us.
Wow. I
And it
wonder
was
And
where
it
I
was
wonder where how long ago was that?
that was like 2 years ago.
Did
and
you
and we're
did
talking
you
about
get a way
his
to keep in touch with this guy?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
talked to him, and it's really fun because he's such a good father. He sometimes he does these little TikToks with his daughter, and she'll be doing his makeup and his hair, and he's just a really driven family man. And I think it showed to me that no matter where you are, you can build a business.
Yeah.
It can be successful. It
Yeah.
may not be the success that somebody else views as successful, but man,
Yeah.
when I looked at him and his family and the happiness and the
That's successful.
excitement,
Yeah.
dude, it was beautiful.
Yeah, so I think that people get too caught up in it, and some people are like, yeah, I just got this small shop, and I've always had this statement that some of the most awesome, coolest shit I've ever seen in my life came out of a 30 by 30 shop.
Yeah.
That's it. I would rather have a tiny shop and a bunch of cool cars than a great big beautiful shop and not be able to have anything. So
Yeah.
I think that people need to embrace what they have, and then you
And
know
embrace the
yeah, and
journey.
and
My wife says
if
that
it's
all the
time and
time.
you yeah, if it's
And
time and you need to invest in a bigger shop, that's great. Do that. But most of these people, we go to these shops and people have a great setup, but they're always critical of it. Oh, sorry, it's not as nice as it should be or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, man,
dude,
Yep.
be
just
proud of
embrace
it.
it. Be
Be
proud of
proud
it and
of it.
move on.
Facts.
And
Yes. I hear that
and
all the time. Yeah.
And I love you did a post on your personal page February 9th. You guys should go check it out. But I love what you said. He said, since 2018, I've become a better man, better husband, better father, more responsible, more patient, more humble, more intelligent, gained countless skills. I'm happier and learned to manage stress better. And I'm doing better than I have in my entire life. I mean, dude, how can you not? That sums up success to me in the best way possible.
Yeah. And we got a comment here from Tate and Trout that says, sounds like you're talking about me, and I am. So
Tate,
I'm literally talking about you, Tayton. So
Tate,
Tayton was very
What's
critical
up,
of his shop.
Tate?
Yeah, he was very critical of his shop, and we've had two different trainings that we've gone there. And between the two of them, when I've been there twice, his shop is 100% better. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're in your 20s, you own a shop. Pat
Yeah.
yourself on the back.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Dude, come on. When I was in my 20s, I owned a Honda Aero scooter. Come on.
I had a scooter too, man, in my early 20s, right, babe? Remember the scooter?
Yeah. Did you
Remember
ever?
the
Okay, here it is, Tommy. Did you ever lock your knees and let the front wheel come all the way up on the scooter?
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now. I used to ride. Okay, so back then I weighed like 180 pounds. I'm 240 now. Ugh. More fluff than anything. But anyways, I used to drive this thing to work. I lived in Brevard County. I had to drive this over like all the bridges over the rivers, like the Indian River, the Banana River, and go all the way to A1A on the beach. And I was doing construction at the time, and I had to drive. I had to ride this big fat dude. I mean, he was big, dude. This little 50cc scooter all the way there. People were like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" They're honking their horn, flicking me off out the window, and I'm just laughing the whole way. It was freaking hilarious. Yeah, that's my
What,
scooter
what a
story.
great,
Yep.
what a great memory, man. Oh man. Well, dude, we have truly enjoyed this conversation, and there's been so many nuggets. You guys need to go back and listen to this entire episode. But kind of in final wrap up, is there anything that you think is just critical that business owners need to embrace to achieve success?
Yeah, one thing at a time. Slow down, one thing at a time. You can't
Nice.
you can't always overthink everything. Overthinking can be useful sometimes, but you got to know when it's stressing you out and draining you. Then just let it go. Move on to something else. Come back to that later. You
Yep.
know, that simple.
You got it.
I
that's
love
that's
that.
beautiful, man. And for me, I would say, like you said earlier, embrace the fact that there's an industry. Hook up with other people. Drop your
Yeah,
ego and learn to learn
facts.
from other people.
God,
Right?
yes. That
I
man. If
mean,
it wasn't for y'all, like that industry, when I say y'all, you guys and everybody that I've met, dude, I was able to call. Like pick up the phone and call somebody and get an answer to a question that I had never seen before. Like I don't have no clue. I don't even know how to search for the answer. I would just explain
Yeah.
it to like somebody that in the industry like Chris or Dustin or Raymond Evans or anybody that I would need to call that would answer the phone right then. And that man, there's such a big supporting family, I want to call it.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that. Like it, and I don't know. I'm gonna get more involved some way. I haven't figured out exactly how. I definitely like helping people and teaching people and educating people, and so it's probably gonna be along them lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Get involved and do it because
So where are you located?
I'm actually in. Nobody's gonna know where, but it's Polk City. So I'll just say Lakeland, Florida, and it's between Tampa and Orlando. So we're like distribution center of Florida, basically. We got warehouses
Right.
everywhere. It's crazy.
That's
Like
crazy.
all our cows are disappearing, and we're getting Best Buy warehouses and humongous, like 14-mile freaking Amazon warehouses with robots and stuff. And yeah, it's just nuts. But so we live in Polk City, and we literally have 3,000 people here, but around us is where all the people's at in other cities.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Polk County,
Well,
I think, is the second biggest county in Florida. So,
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, well, we have some next week is the Detail Summit in the UK. So
Yes,
shout
sir.
out to Richard Hutchins and everybody that's going to be attending that. And then Rod and I are going to be in Canton, Ohio
Yes.
for the PDP event. And what's that?
So
Yes,
you should.
I was
There's
just
going
going
to be
to
a
say
summit.
that.
There's going to be a summit, Tommy, at Rashid Baker's shop in Jacksonville.
I was exactly where I was going.
The last week of March.
yeah,
And
that's something. Damn, March is a busy year. I got to start
Yeah.
writing these. Let me write this down because
Yeah, so
Yeah.
March 26th to the 29th, Rod and I will be in Jacksonville with Angel Wax, with Flex, with Giancarlo from Rupaz. We
with
got Daryl
Leather
Wolf.
Repair Company.
Um,
You got. I mean, it's
going to be
crazy
awesome.
good. It's
So,
crazy good. So, and if you haven't gone to these summits, they're absolutely totally inexpensive. It's stupid not to go. Most people spend more money on coffee and cigarettes in a week than it costs to go to these summits. And they're fantastic. You're going to meet people there that you are going to hang out with for the rest of your career.
yeah,
I can guarantee you that. I got people that I talk to from every single summit that I've ever gone to. I'm still in contact with people from those summits. So
yeah, it's good. So,
you said
lots
March.
of stuff coming.
Was that March what?
March
26th
26th through the
29th.
29th. So, and so we
Thanks,
want to
Dustin.
thank you, Dustin. So we want to thank everybody for going on this crazy journey with Rod and I. We had our first episode of the RotaFest podcast in November of 2019. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this thing for almost 6 years now, 4.5 years, whatever it is. And it's been crazy. Every conversation, we learn something, we get insight and motivation. So thank you for being our guest. It really is a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
So
tune in next week.
next week,
we're gonna be doing some cool stuff. So we got a guest next week, but we're also
I know I'm trying to remember who
we
it
are
was.
also going to be going live with Richard Summit in Hull in the UK. So we're going to be kind of in the middle of the UK, but we're going to be in Boise. So tune in for that. You guys can get a little bit of insight into what that is. And then we're going to be at PDP in Ohio, and then in Jacksonville, Florida, and I don't even know where else we're going to be.
All I know is
we are going to be everywhere. I don't even know. All I know is I have so many freaking air miles. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's good. So, well, thank you guys so much. And please remember to go out, like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. We go live every Thursday and off and on in between. If you're looking for a great CRM, we got you covered on both sides of the spectrum with Detail Bookie and RotaFest. So we're here to help you. And we're having fun. So thank you so much.
Man.
And tell your beautiful wife, Julie, we said hello. And you guys have a great day.
All righty. See you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
See ya.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.